Hello, everybody. Welcome to R.L. Stine's Fear Street, Fear Park Collector's Edition number 10. However, this Collector's Edition is expensive. If y'all want to follow along, you can buy this edition separately in the three separate books that it actually makes the Collector's Edition. First book being the first Scream, the second book being the loudest Scream, the third book being the last Scream. And he has remade these books with different cover art since he first made it. So you can buy it brand new or get it used. Personally, to me, it doesn't matter as long as the pages aren't falling apart. You could still read it. But yeah, if you want to follow along, bookmark this video and go back to and buy your own and follow along. Or you know you could just listen to me read it and don't even buy the book. It's all depends on you. Now, this book is set in a different time period, and I believe throughout the three books, the time period changes, but different slang, terms of words, etc. And I don't know if it has any uh, offensive terms in it. If it does, I'm still gonna read it, but just fair warning. And if there are things in there you don't understand, you're more than welcome to pause the video, go look it up, and get familiar with those terms if you want to further immerse yourself in the story. Now, if you're going by the first book, it is Fear Street number 1, the first Scream, and we are starting. I'm gonna go. I think I'll just do chapter 1. It's been more than 5 years since I've read this, and I read it because I didn't see it on any of the Audible sites or any site where I could listen to it, and I really wanted to, but I'm making this for everybody else who wants to listen to it, and a little bit for myself later on if I want to come back and listen to the book being read. That helps me later on too. But here we go. We're starting part 1. 1935. Like I said, different time period. Chapter 1. Megan Fairwood brushed her long, wavy red hair off her shoulders and reached out to open her locker door. "Oh no," she murmured to herself. She lowered her textbooks to the floor and rubbed the dark stain on her starched cuff of her white blouse. "How did I get this stain?" she wondered. "Is it ink?" She bent down, pulled out her pencil box, and removed the fountain pen. The shiny blue Waterman pen was a gift from her parents for her 16th birthday party. It was an expensive present. It cost nearly $4, but it had leaked ever since Megan started using it. She unscrewed the top and examined the silver point. Yes, it's linking again. Her new white sailor blouse ruined. "I'll have to tell Dad," Megan thought, returning the pen to her pencil box. "I hate to bother him about a pen. He's been so busy these days, so wrapped up in his new job. But the pen will have to be returned to the store." She stood up, smoothed the front of her gray wool skirt, and came down nearly to her ankles. The long-tailed hall of Shadyside High School rang with happy voices, laughter, and the banging of locker doors. School had let out early for the day. Megan turned to the end of the hall and saw two blonde cheerleaders on ladders, stringing up a red and white hand-stenciled banner. She squinted to read the words, "Go Tigers! 1935 State Baseball Champions." Well, not quite. Megan thought, rubbing the black stain off her on her cuff. They still have to beat the Wayne's Bridge to get into the tournament. The left side of the banner fell to the floor. One of the cheerleaders screamed, grabbing for it as it fell, and nearly toppling off the ladder. Some kids laughed. The banner reminded Megan of Richard Bradley, her boyfriend. She searched the crowded hall for him. He must have gone straight to baseball practice. She decided that morning Coach Swanson had announced that Richard would pitch the Waynesbridge game. Was Richard nervous? Not at all. Who else should pitch the big game? He asked. Megan, so handsome like a Hollywood star, grinning that toothy grin of his pale blue eyes twinkling. Get a drink of water for a second. Richard is a little conceited. Megan realized, but she wished she had his confidence. She pictured him on the pitcher's mound, his curly blonde hair poking out from underneath his cap, leaning forward, his face so intense, the muscles in his arms bulging under the gray uniform shirt. Megan turned back to her locker and realized that someone was watching her. A boy with straight brown hair, a solemn face, pale. Robin Fear. He blushed when Megan raised her eyes to his and smiled at him. "Hi, Robin," she said cheerfully. She didn't really know him. He wasn't part of her crowd. She didn't think he was part of any crowd. He always seemed to be by himself. She knew that he lived in a big stone mansion on Fear Street. At the edge of the woods, the street had been named after his uncle or grandfather or something. Megan wasn't sure. Robin had the locker next to hers. She always said hi to him. She thought he was cute. She liked his dark, thoughtful eyes. He seemed to be so serious all the time. Robin always blushed, pink circles forming on his pale cheeks. It must be hard to be that shy, Megan thought. She pulled open her locker and a pile of magazines tumbled onto the floor. Movie fan magazines her friend Abigail had loaned her. Robin bent down to help her gather them up. Do you like Clark Gable?" he stammered, keeping his eyes on a magazine cover. "Yes," Megan replied, a little surprised. Those were the most words he had ever spoken to her. "I saw him in China Seas Friday night. You know, with John Harlow." "Did you see it?" Robin handed her the magazines. He shook his head. "I didn't go to the movies very often." Down the hall, the banner fell again. Some laughing boys grabbed it away from the cheerleaders and started to have a huge tug-of-war with it. The cheerleaders screamed in protest. Robin glanced down there at the top magazine in Megan's hands. "Bing Crosby?" he mumbled, recognizing the face. "Do you like him?" Megan asked. "Did you hear his program on the radio last night?" Robin shook his head sadly. "My dad doesn't let me listen to the radio. He only turns it on to hear President Roosevelt talk." "How boring," Megan replied. "How's my girl?" a loud voice interrupted. Megan turned to see Richard grinning at her from down the hall. He wore his baseball uniform and had a maroon and gray cap pulled over his blonde hair. His cleats thudded heavily on the hard floor. "Hi, I thought you were at practice," Megan said. His grin grew wider. "Oh my. Do you want to study tonight?" Megan laughed. Study what? Richard's eyes flashed. I'll think of something, he teased. Without warning, he bent down and kissed her on the lips. Megan hated it when he did that. It was as if he owned her, as if he thought he could kiss her whenever she wanted it or not. The kiss ended quickly. She raised her eyes to see Richard glaring over her shoulder. What are you staring at? He sneered at Rob in fear. Robin blushed a dark red. His voice cracked. Richard laughed. You want to see smooching? Go to the movies. I wasn't staring, Robin choked out. Richard stepped around Megan. He reached out a big hand and flipped Robin's necktie out from under his V-neck sweater. He wiped his hands using the necktie as a towel, grinning at Robin, challenging him to do something about it. Stop it, Richard, Megan demanded, pulling his arm away. You're not funny. Sure I am, Richard replied. Catch you later, Megan. He turned and clomped away, the cleats thundering on the floor. Megan watched him make his way down the hall. She found herself thinking about how she liked him in some ways and didn't like him in others. Richard was one of the heroes of the school. BMOC, Big Man on Campus. That's what the school year book called him this year. Megan felt excited to be dating this guy, as good-looking and athletic and popular as Richard. The two of them were like king and queen of Shadyside High. In fact, they were voted king and queen at the spring prom. But now, as the school year drew to a close, Megan didn't always enjoy being with Richard. She didn't like some of his loud, rowdy friends, and she wasn't happy about the way he treated her, dropping by her house at all hours without calling first, grabbing her and kissing her in the halls at school. Richard disappeared around the corner. Megan turned back to apologize to Robin. Oh, she uttered a surprised cry when she saw that he was gone. Robin trudged home, kicking a stone along the way, hitting a curb. He gazed up at the gray, overcast sky and thought about how it matched his mood. I just want to die, he thought. He replayed the scene in the hall again and again in his mind. Each time, he felt more embarrassed. Megan Fairwood was being nice to him. He told himself she wanted to talk to him. After all these months of having side-by-side lockers, we were finally having a conversation. And then I let that big palooka Richard make a fool of me. When he accused me of staring at them, I stood there stammering like a dummy. And then I let him use my tie for a towel. I didn't even say a word. I didn't fight him. I didn't try to shove him away. I didn't even speak. Why am I such a coward? Why am I so afraid? Megan didn't laugh at me, but I know what she was thinking. She probably felt sorry for me. Way to go, Robin. You got the prettiest girl in school feeling sorry for you because you're such a whiny little mouse. He angrily kicked a clump of dirt onto the sidewalk. The sky darkened. He felt cold raindrop on his forehead. Perfect, he thought bitterly. Now I'll get drenched, and stepped off onto the curb onto Division Street and nearly walked into oncoming streetcar. The metal wheels scraped against the tracks. A horn blasted. Robin leaped back. The bright red streetcar rattled past. Shaking his head, Robin took a breath. Don't kill yourself, he scalded himself. He shifted his book bag onto the other shoulder, took another deep breath. His heart pounded. The near accident shocked him from his angry thoughts. Richard Bradley picks on a lot of guys. It was no big deal, he told himself. Sorry, I have to get a drink of water. He pictured Megan once again, the way she smiled at him when he handed her the magazines. I think Megan likes me. I think she likes me, even if I am a cowardly little mouse. A few minutes later, he reached Fear Street. He turned and made his way onto the grass along the side of the road. Simon Fear's burned out mountain road mansion rose on the next block. The mansion had been beautiful before the fire destroyed it. That's what people said. Now, as Robin passed by, it stood black and as a cinder. The roof caved in. Sorry, lost my place. The roof caved in, gaping holes where the windows had been. Still